Good afternoon and welcome to another Live at 5 on Coaching the Man. I have another guest, another week. This is already week 3 of our Live at 5s and I'm really enjoying being back and having these conversations. Shortly I will be joined by today's guest, Elliot, and we're going to talk about his business and coaching football for children and adults as well that he does. But I just want to remind you all, if you are joining this or you're watching it back at another time, there is still time to join the webinar, which is on Monday coming, the 19th of April at 8 p.m. and we will be going live on a webinar with lots of men talking about testicular cancer and awareness. As many of you may already know my journey, I have shared it many times. I'm going to be taking questions and we're going to be having some conversations about testicular cancer awareness and how early detection is key. I also want to just take a little second of your time to tell you how excited I am about the cards of empowerment. So much good feedback already about them. You've got this, I see you, and just keep going. And these have been so relevant to so many people this week, and I've really loved the feedback that I've gotten from all of you jumping in and giving that to me. Live at 5 is all about how we are dealing with our daily mental strength, we're calling it recently. I like that. Somebody's the other week told me about how we can change the framework behind mental health and talk about it from a point of view of mental strength. The gyms have opened up again in the UK, so a lot of people are going back and flexing the muscles with the weights and doing all the things that they did prior to lockdown. So they are flexing those muscles, they are getting back their physical strength. So why not talk about our mental strength in that retrospect, is that the word? So shortly I will be joined by Elliot. So let me just see if he's here. He's not here yet. He will be here shortly. But listen, good afternoon, Mama Simpton. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. We've got Romu and we've got Dom Young. I love Instagram names. I see names and then you go and you talk to them and you're like, I'm talking to them with their real name. And then suddenly I see your Instagram name. I'm like, what is your name again? So yeah, I'm really bad with that. But here he is. This is Elliot is here. So let's bring him in. I think this is Elliot's first live. So him all the way from sunny Alcudia in Mallorca. I've sent you a request, Elliot. You just click it. Hello. First, is this the first live?
It is our first live, yes.
I love it. So tell me, how are you, first of all? How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. First of all, thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to be on your channel.
It's actually a pleasure to be on yours as well. Our connection goes way back. We have both got a love for the country that you are currently residing in and where ESA lives and breathes. It's been a tough year.
It's been a very tough year, yeah. There's been a lot we've had to adapt to, but we're getting there and we're getting through, and I'm confident we'll come out stronger on the other end.
Yeah. So you've obviously found that your first test as a coaching school, as a business person, to have to try and be so agile and change how you approach the original plan you had for the school when you set it up. So how has that been for you?
It's challenging both sides. I mean, when we first came out here, to tell everybody a little bit about our stories, we came out here 5 years ago and we set up with our team of football coaches, and our main target was the tourism sector. So we used to do between 3 to 6 months a year, and you actually had to, as far as work's concerned, you were getting 12 months of work condensed into like 3 or 6. Everybody in the tourism sector is the same. And COVID happened last year, so we've been growing every year, and then COVID came, and we had to adapt very quickly. And thanks to the strong team I have around me, in particular our director of coaching, David, he has been fantastic. we've adapted and we've moved into the schools, and a lot of our market now, our only market at the minute is predominantly locals. So we've had to adapt, but it has been challenging both on a business level and a personal level, and I'm happy to discuss that with you, David.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, obviously, you know, as a man in business, as a man in the 21st century, you know, we kind of have to ask, how has that been? Because it can't have been easy to see your mainstream of income just stop. And it can't have been easy to begin to figure out where you were going to tap into in a country where you'd never really tapped into the local side or what it even looked like.
Yeah, that's right. It was one of the ones, I think it came at the worst possible timing for everybody in the tourism sector, because it came the month before the season actually starts. So, I mean, me personally, we joke about it now. I was buying just stupid things, equipment-wise, just buying lots of new equipment, thinking, right, the season's going to start, we're going to start making money again. And it crashed. So we were left with all these, we were buying like mannequins and like, we joke about it just now, but we were buying all these things, which was, looking back now, we could have planned it a little better, but then again, you never knew it was coming. But for myself, from a personal point of view, when it first came to lockdown, I think for everybody that's not in Spain, the lockdown in Spain was a lot different from the UK. And the main difference was it was a proper lockdown. The only time you were allowed out was once a week to the supermarket. You weren't allowed out for a walk. You couldn't go a run. You couldn't do any physical activity outside. So that, I think, was the biggest challenge personally for me. Again, I adapted. I bought a punch bag, went up on the roof and done all these things. But I think, speaking to my friends here in Spain, the aftermath, I think, was actually the worst part, because after 2 or 3 weeks, I quite enjoyed I live alone, just to let everybody know. So I was on my own for, other than seeing the cashier in the supermarket once a week, you're talking about, it was about 6 to 8 weeks alone. And I quite liked it. I actually began to like it a little bit more than I should have done.
Yeah.
And the hardest part is when the lockdown got lifted. I didn't want to see people. It was, and a lot of people agreed with the same. I think it was a big test mentally. And I always remember, I'll not say her name, but I came out of the lockdown and I was walking along the road and I seen a friend. And before she seen me, I walked over to the other side of the road. And people who know me are very extroverted, and I would never do that. And I'd done it consciously thinking, and I went, what's happening? I didn't want to speak to anybody because I just got into that mental state of being on my own. So I do think looking back now, we came out stronger in the other end, I think, and we've still got a long way to go. But that's just the personal side from my.
If I can ask you about that, because you know, as the UK moves into their lockdown, lifting the lockdown, you're probably familiar with your friends that are living back there, and you know, there's a lot of people who are now going into that period of time where they feel like the pub is open, you can go and have a drink in the thing, you can go to the supermarket, you can go to the shops, you probably have to queue. There's a lot of people feeling similar to what you were feeling. Was there an event, or was it just over time of actually going out and accepting that you could go out that helped you to overcome that? Or what was the turning point where you were no longer crossing the road to avoid people?
Yeah. After a couple of weeks, I go back to normal again. I've got friends around me who like to talk a lot. One in particular you're friends with, Nicole. She did help. But I mean, the friends around you, I think the big thing, I think I would have struggled massively if it wasn't for Zoom, for this. If there wasn't this, I reckon it would have been a different experience, because we did have, I think I actually spoke to family more, in fact, during lockdown than normally. I think everybody's probably going to say the same to that. And I think that's another positive, to try and take as many positives and negatives out of this, is the fact that it's made me personally more grateful of family, just the little things in life in which I think you were just taken for granted before, me personally anyway. So again, that's another positive. But I would say, David, I'd say it was about 2-3 weeks after, and for me, sorry, I lost you there. Doing what I love the most and my passion, and it's coaching kids. So the minute we got back into the schools, coaching the kids again, I felt like, right, we've got normality, a little bit of passion back in my life.
As like someone who's, you know, your industry is about physical fitness, it's always been something that you're very good at. It's always been something that you've been really motivated about. Do you find it easy to self-motivate yourself when you were isolated, or was that something that you struggled with?
It was difficult. Those who know me, I'm a night hawk, so I was staying up 4 or 5 in the morning because you had nothing to get up to in the morning. So I was going to bed 4 or 5 at night, and then getting up at about later, at 11 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock, and having my breakfast for lunch. So my day was all over the place. But from the mental, you just touched on there for the sports side. From the mental side of things, if I never had the roof to exercise on, that would have been another game changer, because I would find myself mentally getting a bit, this is getting a bit too much. And then the minute I was upstairs for half an hour, I was running around on the roof. I worked out that I ran something like 3 marathons on my roof, and my terrace of my roof, it must be about 10 meters in width. So I'm just going back and forward. Looking back now, it's funny, but that was the main one for me. It's just so important, is the physical activity for your mental health. It's massive.
Do you know, the thing is as well, is that I've obviously spoken to yourself and Nicole over the course of it, and knowing your situation so intricately, it was the, you know, apart from, I don't really know anybody who was going through the Italian one where they were in the high-rise buildings and stuff, but, you know, your one seemed the most like prison.
Oh, 100%. It was prison. It was prison. It definitely was that. And you got out once a week to go. It was the joy of your week, is going in a Lidl. And I'd actually be walking, and I hate shopping, and I'd be walking around with the car, and I'm just taking my time and going down the same aisle twice, just so I was getting outside. It was insane.
But equally, that trip was just as exhausting, because it was the only thing you did in the day or the week.
Yeah. No, it was that. And it's one of the ones as well, is that people would start like moaning and going, but looking at it, I think there was a couple of things I've seen online that I shared about, we've not got it bad. We're being told to stay in for a few weeks and watch Netflix and relax, not work. And then you've got your great grandfathers who were having to go to war and things like that. So looking back, we didn't really have it that bad, did we?
No, and I suppose, you know, that perception of the situation is really subjective depending on the person, isn't it? I think, you know, like you, you know, I from the outside probably seemed like, you know, I had it all together the whole time, but there were times when I did feel a little bit like, you know, I've done my daily routine, I've done the exercise, I've done all the things now, you know, it's been about 3 or 4 months, like, you know, I'm bored now, and then the first thing you do is abandon all the things that are making you feel good and feel structured. But you know, what changed for you guys is that what changed for you specifically is that you moved your focus away from where you couldn't actually get it. So for business point of view, how did focusing on building a new business help?
Massively. Again, those who know me, I like to, 99% of my ideas are just scatterbrain, but that 1%, that 1% of the ideas that you put down and planning, and I got myself, so right before lockdown, I got myself a large whiteboard. So every morning I was putting all my plans together of what I was going to do. There was a big thank you to like all the parents, the ESA soccer parents, because we set up initially was we done a virtual session, and these were non-payable sessions, and they were open to anybody. So what we've done is we've done them on Zoom, and we had a lot of people, a lot of interest, and a lot of kids were getting involved. And I thanked them at the time, but it's a big thank you as well to all the parents and the kids in particular, because without that, again, it would have been even so much difficult. So I had something to concentrate on. We've done it twice a week, and it was loads of little skills. I was sitting, I'd set up in the living room, and I had a football. The neighbours must have thought I was going daft. And I'm in an apartment, so I don't know what they were thinking downstairs. But every Monday and Wednesday, I must have made a racket. But it was good fun. So thank you to all the kids and parents for that.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing. The people who are so invested in what it is that you're providing for them have just, they also are in their predicament. So you're providing something for them. But the mental strength that's required to believe that, you know, where you would normally be doing something so physical in person outside, you're now doing something kind of physical, but not in person inside. It's a huge flip.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't know about you, David, because I know that you managed to get, you were doing a fitness and you had your daily routine and things like that. But I actually found myself, because I was working out so much because there was nothing to do. And I mean, I'm built like the side of SOCCAR anyway, but my physical fitness was improving. And it's probably at one point, because I wasn't drinking, so yeah. I wasn't socialising with friends. I think my fitness actually improved, which was good to see. And when I did come out, I was like roadrunner on the roads trying to get away from this tent. That roof just killed me. And then the minute I was allowed out, it was amazing. But I just think we take everything for granted, don't we?
Yeah.
Everything day to day, and just to socialise with friends. I mean, things have started to open up back here. Restaurants are open till 5 o'clock and things like that. But we took loads of little things for granted. And I don't know if it's maybe with my age and I'm getting older, but I walk about now and I'll just be like, this is amazing. Like just looking at fields.
Yeah.
So,
I've always had that feeling of appreciation for Alcudia specifically. Like it's you know, it's just as much part of my heart as it is yours. You're just lucky enough to live there. And I was really blessed that at the time when they lifted the restrictions over there and over here, I was able to go over there for a couple of weeks.
yes.
And you know, what was shocking was how quiet it was. But what wasn't so shocking is just how unbelievably beautiful it is.
It's just because it is bliss. And I mean, everybody in the tourism sector will say the opposite, because we have been affected that much. And I don't expect anything from everybody, anything from anybody. But I think in the UK, they don't realise how good the government have been with business. And like here, the employed have been looked after, same as the UK, but the self-employed have not.
Yeah.
I do worry going forward, because without the self-employed, there's no jobs.
No.
And it's not so much, again, we've adapted in a way in which we've not stopped working, so we've not required anything or expected anything from the government. But I just think in the UK, we need to be more grateful on what we have received from the government as opposed to places in Europe.
Yeah. But you know, and that is so true, but the industry itself of self-employed people, including yourself, like you should give yourself a lot of credit for how resilient you've been, in a sense that you've changed tact so many times. And the thing is that when you got that glimmer of hope last year where it was potentially going back, you then have to abandon what you've created and pay attention to what you had created in the first place. So you now have these two contrasting businesses, babies that need attention. So it's...
Yeah, you're right.
Do you give yourself enough credit for what you've achieved?
No, I'm quite hard on myself, so no, maybe not as much as I should do, but thank you for that. Yeah, but it's one of them ones, it's sink or swim, isn't it? And luckily there is other business out there that we've managed to adapt and grow into, but other people haven't been as fortunate, particularly in the hospitality trade. So I do feel sorry for they guys, but I mean, it's a team game at the end of the day, and without the strong team I have around me, we wouldn't be where we are right now. I might not even be in Mallorca anymore. I've adapted. We started working with other clubs. We've grown into our second school, and we just went into Palma yesterday.
Wow.
So we're now school down in Palma. So that was our first session yesterday. Myself and David went down to open that up, and I'm really, really happy in the direction of which is going. And when the tourists do come back, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
And will it continue to be now multicultural, or will there be a soccer school that's specifically designed for the visitors, and then another one designed for, you know, residents?
Yeah. So what it is we're doing, we're in the schools. So that's the two schools now. So the two schools we've got is my school, it's International School in Cristach, and we're now down in Green Valley. So that was the one we went into yesterday, was Green Valley. And so to explain both of them, we've got the local business has been the schools. And that's something we've grown into in the last year. And then we've got the tourist season. So what we're looking to do in the summer, we've collaborated with Deportivo Alcudia as well. And in the summer, we're going to have one big camp, 2 11-a-side football pitches at the stadium. We're going to bring the locals together. We're going to bring the tourists together. We're going to do language workshops, and we're going to do football and tie it all in together. That's the plan. So I am buzzing for that.
Well, that sounds really like exciting.
Yeah, it is. We're all really looking forward to it.
And in the midst of all of this, you've taken on the job of managing the ladies' football team in Alcudia?
That's right, yeah. So myself and our director of coaching in the north, David, myself and David are now taking the Alcudia ladies team with Rafael, who's a Mallorquin football coach. So between the three of us, it's been something new. It's something I've always wanted to get into, and when the job did come up, I spoke to David, and we both jumped at the opportunity, and it's been brilliant. It's a great group of girls. Ages 14 to, I think the oldest is 47. But it's been brilliant. That's really kept me sane as well, to be honest, because it's a right social thing.
You know what's really great, and I was lucky enough to see you actually play a game with them. I think it was one of your first, wasn't it, as the manager?
Yeah, you came with Nicole, didn't you?
Yeah. It was. What was really great about yourself and David is just your pure love for something like football, and not just the football as the game that like a spectator would love, but the love of seeing people execute a plan that you've created with them, and then it work for them. Like, that was, you know, as a coach, I was looking at you as a coach rather than the team, because, you know, football is not something that, you know, I would be big on, but I was interested in the process that you guys were dealing with behind the scenes. And it was really nice to kind of identify that. And you always do have a passion, not only for football, but for the coaching side and helping kids find the love for it.
Similar to yourself, David, you've been in such a short period of time. I think you've been the same. You've had the same level of successes. That what you do it because you love it. And I think if you're ever doing something you don't love, you need to make changes, because you'll never do great unless you love it. And yeah, the management side has been really, really good, and it's good to see the progression in the ladies in such a short period of time as well, because it's the first year they just created the team. So we started from scratch, and it's great to see the progression in them already, and then hopefully next year we can start winning things.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that you said that about like doing things you love, because for so long, I think yourself and myself have been through jobs where you're like, why am I even doing this? And then when you actually find something that you're good at, that you get paid for, and you know really why you love it, I think it just feels a little bit too easy sometimes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think once you find something you love, and it's not going to happen overnight, but you find something you love, eventually the money will follow. When I say money, I don't mean mass amounts, but it'll be a living.
Yeah,
you'll be in a position where you're enjoying life and you're doing what you love. We speak about it, sounds so cliche, but I love Mondays.
Same. I love a Monday.
Like, why would you hate a Monday? I
Yeah,
love Monday.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So again, it's just, I think, and again, speaking with you now is making me even more grateful of the position that we're in. We're in, for me, the most beautiful place I've ever been. And I've been a lot of places. Mallorca is just, it's the only place that I land and it gives me butterflies.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
yeah,
these are the people I love, because I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same. There are like three, places in the world where I land and I'm like, yeah, I'm home, yeah.
it is, honestly,
Dublin's obviously one.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I mean, I love to go back. Edinburgh's one of the most beautiful places. That's where I'm originally from. Most beautiful place in the world. It's just missing the big guy in the sky, I suppose.
Yeah. Do you miss it? Do you miss it?
Do I miss Edinburgh? For visits, yeah. For family,
Yeah.
But this is home now, and I think again that's helped contribute to the fact that it was sink or swim. Because if myself and the rest of the football team never made this work, it was the next plane home. So we've adapted and it's made us stronger, which is brilliant.
And what's really great is that from seeing, you do the journey from when you started in Mallorca to now to developing ESA to what it is and from anybody out there, we've already talked about doing business and doing something that you love, because it will pay you so much more than just money down the line. But what I love is that you are always happy to turn around and say to somebody in a team, bring somebody on and say, look, I don't have all the answers and I need your help. And I think that's really admirable for somebody in your position.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we've got a long way to go to where we want to be. But I do believe that the biggest mistake you can make is not allowing people in that are not even greater, but that I think the team that we've put together is everybody brings different qualities. And we've sadly lost some coaches along the way and they've moved back, Liam Robertson being one of them. He
got married. He's here. I think
He got married.
I think he got married yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, so he's now married yesterday and he's got a little baby Lily. So
congratulations, Liam.
But we'll get him back to Mallorca. I've already spoke to his wife about that.
Yeah, it's the best place to raise a family.
Yeah, I spoke to Hannah, and we will get him back one day. But yeah, no, going back to what you're saying, I think it's very important to have people around you that haven't got the same qualities as you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're just all the same people. And if you're not open to learn from all these different people, then you'll never grow as a person. Not even in football, just in general.
Yeah.
And I think you're very similar minded with that. We've had many chats when you've been out here, and I think you're very like minded, and it's the right way to go in it if you want to progress.
No, absolutely. And I think I pride myself on the fact that I have people like yourself and Nicole who won't be afraid to challenge you and your idea, not just because they don't think it's a good idea, but because they want you to solidify within yourself why it's really deep down a good idea, or it's worth executing, or you're actually that passionate about it. And I think that's what good people in your life will always do. They won't challenge you to put you down. They'll challenge you to raise you up.
Of course, definitely.
Who do you look up to?
Got to go with the father, haven't we? My dad's always been. He's been in business all his life, so if I've ever had any questions, I go to him. He's number one that I go to for questions. But I mean, as far as looking up to, again, it sounds cliche, but I wouldn't say anybody in particular like famous or anything like that. Yeah.
There's nobody that you kind of take elements of what you've learned over the years from that you put into and create your own, I suppose.
Oh yeah, definitely. I read biographies all the time.
I love a bio.
I love it. And do you want to know something? There's lots of things that all these it's mostly entrepreneurs that I like to read, but there's so many of them, and all of them have one thing in common: they've never started something for money. They've always started something with a passion. It's never been an aim to do something and become the richest this or the richest that. It's you find something you love, and I'm doing that coaching children. I absolutely love it. I don't know why anybody would choose to work with adults when you can work with children. They're just pure.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get all the time.
And they're honest.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're honest. They'll tell you, they'll cut maybe too honest sometimes, but they'll tell you everything. And that's what you're after. Just tell me how you feel and we'll fix it. If there's a problem, we'll fix it. If you're enjoying yourself, we hear about it. It's brilliant.
A friend of ours, a mutual friend as well, Donna, sent me a bio for I'm going to look over here because it's next to my bed. It's Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Oh, I've heard of this.
That's what I'm reading at the moment. When I finish it, I'll send it to you and you can have it.
Yeah, a friend recommended that to me a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about yourself. Did you read a lot during lockdown?
I definitely read. I made a conscious decision to not, sit in the bed and kind of digest Netflix all day. So I made bedtime a reading activity, and yeah, it was a lot of short stories. I found myself going to because I was just kind of picking up real time short stories. Because there's a book called, I don't have it next to me. There's a book called The Moth where people just get on a stage in New York and they tell their own life story, which is just extraordinary events like that people have been through and how resilient they've been. So that's where I kind of got my quick fix of long stories. But I did read quite a lot over lockdown.
Wasn't a lot of podcasts.
They're not podcasts, no.
No. Do you listen to any podcasts?
Yes, yeah. I was big on Jay Shetty's one. I like them as sound bites. I really enjoy Simon Sinek does a lot. I'm a big fan of Oprah, so I kind of like her stuff, but she doesn't bring out that much anymore in regards to podcast. But I tend to kind of go to a podcast to entertain me nowadays because I've got so much knowledge in books that are around me. However, if you're looking for a good audible book, Nicole recommended The Midnight Library to me. It's fiction, but it's really empowering. So it's definitely
recommendations. The only ones that seem to get me is the ones I listen to Gary Vee a lot. I don't know if you Gary Vee's stuff's brilliant. I could listen to his stuff all day. So that's normally my go-to if I'm driving. I'll stick it on a podcast. But yeah, I've tried to get into some of the fiction stuff, but I suppose everybody's different. I find it very difficult.
Yeah, I think you have to really pick your battles with the different mediums of, because there's sometimes like I like reading a bio, but I might prefer to listen to something like that's fiction or podcast it. It's about finding what works for you, because not everybody enjoys like sitting and actually reading, but they will clean the house whilst listening to a story. And I really do enjoy like reading stories of people who've gone through it. Like it doesn't matter who they are, from Michelle Obama. I'm trying to get through Barack Obama's, but it's like an encyclopedia at the moment. So I really do have to be in the right frame of mind, not just to read it, but to hold it. I read his.
I thought it was the one. It was the one that Nicole had recommended. She's like, I just love listening to his voice. Have you heard it? It's an audiobook, I think it is.
Oh, she said, that's Barack Obama's one.
Yeah. Oh, what were you talking to, Michelle?
Well, no, I read her one, but I am reading his at the moment. Yeah. It's kind of disconcerting when you start reading a book that's like this, and he says, "This is volume 1," and you're like, "Oh, good lord."
Nah, I get like that.
Listen, I don't want to keep you for too much longer. This has really been a cool chat. I've really enjoyed it.
Likewise, and thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Any other time, if anybody pulls out, I'm interested. Get me back.
Listen, I have to ask you, we are talking about Testicular Cancer Awareness Month. We are both men. You know my journey. You know what I've been through.
Yeah.
I have just simply got one question. When's the last time you checked your balls?
2 days ago. No, I could tell you. But on that note as well, I mean, people will be aware of your journey, David. And in fact, I don't know if you want to fill them in quickly, and then I'll come in on the back end of that, of my journey as well.
Yeah, so in September last year, I found a lump on my testicle, and I had to get my testicle removed. And due to finding it early, detecting it early, and being aware and knowing what to do, and with the support of my circle, I was really lucky that it was early detection, and I didn't have to have any other treatment past surgery. I'm currently on a surveillance program, which anybody who goes through cancer of any kind will be on. And that's my journey now for the next 10 years.
That's brilliant. And I've said it to you before, but I think the way you tackled all that, and I mean, nothing can prepare you for finding that out, but I think absolutely admirable, and you tackled it, and incredible. It was incredible. So I just wanted to say that first of all.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I heard all this news with David, and it started making me think, because I had found a lump myself several months prior, and I just thought, it'll go away, it'll be a cyst or something. I've been to the doctor. I went to the doctor years ago, and it was the same. It was a cyst. So I thought, it could just be another cyst. And it wasn't until I heard the news from David concerning his diagnosis, I then thought, right, I've been silly here. I need to get this looked at. So I got a private hospital appointment, and I headed down there. I was going to go public. I spoke to my dad. My dad was like, no, get yourself in there. So we went into, I say we went, my dad never, he's in Edinburgh. So I went into the hospital.
Yeah.
Done all the checks, which you would have done, and thankfully it came back, it was a cyst, and I'm just to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a big eye opener to think, like, better being safe than sorry. It doesn't matter what you might think it is, or if it's not growing, just get it seen to. And I mean, the public, you'll get an appointment, you'll get a doctor at a public appointment, but for me over here in Spain, it was a case of, if you want it seen now, you go private, and it was a few €100, but it's worth every penny just to get that phone call, we say, just to let you know that we've not found anything, and it's just a cyst. So I think that was, but I consider myself quite wise, and why did I have to wait until I heard your news to check that? And I think that's something everybody needs to just, one, have a check, and two, if you do see anything, just get to the doctor. So what arms are going to do?
Yeah, I love that. First of all, thank you for sharing that, because I knew that story, and I'm really glad that you've been open about it, because that's what people need to hear. Like, what was it inside me that made me go, it'll go away? Because the reality is that with cancer, with any cancer, from the minute that the cancer cells begin to grow, you've got about 3 to 4 months to act, to get it in that good time frame. And you could be like up to 80% survival rate in those if you detect it early. After that, then it spreads around the body and into the lymph nodes, and then you're just looking at less and less and less, because then that's where you become staged. So it's really important that, when you do detect something, it doesn't matter whether you think it's been something related to before, that anybody watching this now just goes and gets it checked.
Completely agree.
I love how you referred to your trip to the hospital as we. The whole way through my process, I was always talking about it and referring to the situation as, so we've got a hospital appointment tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't know who this other person is.
Somebody else up. Yeah, maybe it was that woman in the cashier in Lidl's I was thinking about. Yes. No, I think now, because of what's happening in the current climate with COVID, it's even more important, because I remember just thinking, I'm not going to bother people with what I believe to be a cyst, because there's people with COVID, and people aren't going in and they're not getting these checks because they don't want to hinder the doctors. And as much as they've been fantastic, and they are hindered with, they are busy with so many things with COVID related, you need to just go. get the appointment. It might take longer to get the appointment, but just get it done.
Mm. But for
Doctor,
your peace
doctor.
of mind, for like, I mean, I kind of found my lump and I was like, that's testicular cancer straight away. That's testicular cancer. And I was like fully convinced of, you know, beginning to plan the whole journey all the way down to my,
Wow.
you know, my eternal end. But what I did do and what I am proud of, and when people tell me that I dealt with it really quickly, the most courageous thing I did was act immediately, was to go to the doctor and believe that it doesn't matter who or what is going on in the world. When I sit in that doctor's office or that doctor's surgery, the only person that they care about is figuring out what is wrong with me.
Yeah, you're right.
And that is what they're there for. And that is why we talked about vocation and doing something you love. You know, yes, they're stretched. Yes, they're underpaid. Yes, they do all these crazy hours for not much recognition, but they do it because they actually care.
Yeah.
So there is nobody that's ever going to sit opposite you in a doctor's surgery and not want to hear what's bothering you.
Yeah. No, you're bang on the money. Bang on the money, David. It's just, it worries me how many illnesses are being undiagnosed at the minute through people just not wanting to cause bother for doctors.
Mm. And that's why you speaking on this is so important, because I feel duty bound with my, you know, my ability to speak, my ability to use this platform. I would not feel or rest well at nighttime if I didn't spend the whole month of April just telling people my story, because that's what people need to hear in order to realize that their issue, whatever it is just as important. They need
you're right. You said something when it all first happened, David, and you actually says that since it came, I think it was 2 or 3 of your friends have went for checkups just on the back of hearing your news and them knowing that there was something irregular down there as well, which that's 3 people that might not have done it. And
well,
if you can,
it's actually now 6.
6 now. Wow.
6 people who found something, were worried about it, and went to the doctor based on hearing what I had to say.
Yeah, that's good. That, and I mean, as you say, that is very important to spread that word that it is okay to go and get checked, and it is better safe than sorry. But I'm absolutely, again, like, amazing the way you dealt with it and tackled it all, and I'm so happy that you're on the mend. So happy you're on the mend.
Me too. And listen, it won't be long, fingers crossed, until I'm on a plane on the way to Palma, Mallorca.
Back over to your second home in Mallorca.
Yes, please. Listen, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm so excited to see what comes from ESA. You are absolutely trailblazing it over there, so don't stop now.
Thank you.
Just keep going, good man.
Yeah,
and I will see you soon. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care, David.
Thank you. That was Elliot. There he is. First Instagram live. I don't know how you let yourself out, but you can figure that out. Thank you so much to Elliot. Thank you so much to everybody who dropped in. A few people who said hello. Hi, Matt from Burnley. Oh, Owen Coyle, just naming people. Brilliant. Sam Eastwood. This is brilliant. You're doing a great job. You and Steve were born for this UTC. Thank you for that. Some love coming into the room. I always forget to read these comments, so I'm just going back to them. What about me, Elliot? Somebody fancies you. Great stuff. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Remember, the webinar is on the 19th. You can get involved by clicking on the link in my bio and just register. And then once I send out all the links, you will get that directly into your email. And that's at 8 p.m. on Monday coming. There's so much on the Coaching the Man Instagram and website that you can get checked in on and see and learn more. And please never be afraid to ask me a question about anything Coaching the Man related, or indeed Testicular Cancer Awareness Month. If we can help other people, like Elliot said, to identify a problem that they might have, that they're worried about, that's bothering them, and go and see a doctor about it, then that is the job well done. Look after yourselves, be kind to you, and be kind to your mind. And I'll see you next week when I will be joined by Mike from the Testicular Cancer Society, all the way live from another favorite city of mine, New York. So I'm really excited to that, and I hope you can join us then. Have a good afternoon, and I will see you soon.